Am I talking to Judith? Can you hear me?
You are. Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, thanks. Let me just quit a couple of things that might cause nonsense while we're trying to
Yeah,
do this. We don't want any nonsense.
exactly. No
Oh,
nonsense here.
put put the phone on silent.
It's nothing
Good.
worse, isn't there, when you hear a bing halfway
Oh, I
through?
know. I know, yeah. So how are you?
I'm really good. Thanks. Thanks so much for doing this, by the way. It's
That's all right.
fantastic.
That's all right. My
It's
pleasure.
I've um I've been verging on really excited, stroke absolutely nervous. Like I've not been this nervous for ages, and I don't know quite why.
Well, you shouldn't be. My bad reputation died a long time ago. Is the sound all right? Is that loud enough for you?
I think so. It sounds okay. I'm not
Okay.
booming over you, am I? Because I can
No,
never
no, no.
tell till I listen back, and then it's so.
No, there's
But
no echoes or anything from here. So as long as
superb.
I'm loud enough for you, that's good.
I think so. I'll turn my volume up just so I can hear you a bit better. Um, so it's obviously recording just now, so that's good. I
Hmm.
don't want to forget that because, bit amateur if I've forgotten to record the interview. Um, is there anything that I can't ask you? Not that I'm going to be like prying completely into your
No, if
life,
there's
but
anything I don't want to answer, I won't answer it. So,
yes, that seems reasonable. And my plan would be obviously I'll try and sort of edit down the audio just to put some bits into my radio shows, and then I'll put the Zoom up on YouTube at the end if you're happy enough, and you
sure.
know, just have it as a wee video for folk to watch, hopefully.
Yeah, no problem.
Awesome. Okay, well, we just make a wee start, and I don't mind how long it takes or how little it takes. Have you got any? I put an hour on the Zoom, but that wasn't to sort of tie you down.
Oh, okay, it's longer than I was expecting. I need to be somewhere. If we could keep it to like about a half hour,
Certainly.
that would be great.
That's fine, no bother at all. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, so welcome. Thank you for doing this, Miles. Can I call you Miles? Is it
Yeah,
Milo?
whatever you like. I'll answer to pretty much anything these days.
I'll keep it clean then. Um, so obviously at the moment we'll talk a wee bit about your solo tour if you want, because I think that'll be something that's clearly taking up a bit of your time. How's it all going out on the road just now?
Really good. It's just me sitting on a stool, cracking a few jokes, playing a few tunes for 90 minutes. And I took, well, because of the forced absence of being on stage because of COVID
Mm,
and all that. And I'd actually got quite sick of doing acoustic gigs by about summer 2019.
yeah,
So when we couldn't do it through the lockdowns, it worked out great for me. I needed a rest from it,
yeah.
and then going back to it last September or October, I think I started doing acoustic gigs again. I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed it. And that's still going on. I really enjoy every night. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
Are you mixing it up? Do you do just purely solo material? Do you do any Wonder stuff while you're out by yourself?
Oh, it's mostly the Wonder stuff.
Ah, okay.
Yes, probably like 10 or 15 minutes of it is non-Wonder stuff. People do ask me why don't I do more from solo records or records that I've done with Erica Knuckles over the years.
Mhm.
And the truth is, I kind of lose half of the audience when I do those songs. When I'm very lucky, like everything seems to sell out wherever I've been going. They're very small rooms.
Yeah.
But I think people just want to hear familiar stuff, and not everybody carried on buying every
Yeah.
single record I put out. So, and I don't care. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to say, 'cause we went to see you last year. I mean, we've seen you loads of times, but we went to see you last year on the Never Loved Elvis tour. And I remember coming away from it, and that was what me and my friends were saying, that you go and you just like you forget that you know every song, every word to every song, and it's such an lovely experience going to see you guys. I don't know what it is, but well, I think it's because I can't believe that it's like 30 years since these albums came out.
Yeah, we've heard them a lot, haven't we?
We
I
have,
think
but
particularly with Never Loved Elvis, it's quite a joyful record.
yeah,
Um, the same isn't true of Construction from the Modern Idiot, which is what we're touring this July.
yeah,
Um, although I think musically that it's quite joyful. I was just on a call with Malk Treese, our guitarist, because I like to make these little teaser videos to put on YouTube to
Yeah.
say tickets are on sale and here's
Hmm.
me rehearsing. Um, and a lot of it, I mean, things like I Wish 'Em All Dead, Cabin Fever, Storm Drain, which is a three we've looked at today. I haven't played them since 1993 or 94. And I
Yeah.
think this thing, Swell, we never played live. I think I'm quite right in saying that. So
Uh-huh.
Mount works them out, and then we have little FaceTimes, and he's like, well, you could do this. Because my plan is not to play guitar
Okay.
um, on at least 8 of the songs from Construction, because we got Mark Gemini Thwaite playing guitar with us now.
Yeah.
He's a genius. And he works everything out perfectly, so we don't need me clattering away in the background while Malk and MGT get it all right. And then also a lot of these songs, that's my dog Winky in the background.
Hello, Winky.
Hold on. Shut it! Thanks.
You've got the wrong idea. It was only Winks that I really wanted on this call.
I'm sure there'll be more. Yeah, and also, you know, these are songs that I sang 30 years ago, and I've smoked a billion cigarettes since, and worse on occasion. So I'm slightly concerned about pitching up to some of these songs, just because I mean, after a couple of days I'll be fine. It's just because I haven't sung them in all these years, whereas a lot of Never Loved Elvis I've sung all through the years. So that's almost like muscle memory. So where I have to get it to a point where I'm not thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it just comes out. And I think it's funny, I was in a conversation with a couple of friends this week. One friend, Ian Prowse, is on tour, and I went to see him Friday. And then I didn't notice it when he was doing the show, but at the end of the show, he said, you know, I can't stay up boozing because the throat's a little bit tired. So I've got to get some kip. But I could see I could see that it wasn't a physical thing. It was the thing that I see in a lot of singers' eyes, where you're just getting concerned. And once you start to get concerned, start messing up, it starts to become a physical thing. And then another friend of mine from Gigolo Aunts I was emailing with today, and he was saying how when they would tour with Counting Crows, Adam Duritz used to have quite a few problems. Well, they would do like 100 dates in a row, you know. I mean, I think we only did like 20 or 30. And again, Steve Hurley from Gigolo Aunts was going, you know, I would always think it was a psychological thing rather than a physical thing.
Yes.
Just because you want to do well, and particularly if you're playing new songs or songs you haven't done in a long time, you worry unnecessarily. So,
well, I think, you know, there's so many worries nowadays about COVID, and still, you know, you're always thinking at the back of your mind, is this going ahead, or is something going to get in the way? So I suppose the slightest little cough or splutter and you think, oh God, that's it. You know, the whole tour's gone. But I'm very excited for the Construction tour, though. And, you know, it's going to be great because, again, you kind of, you know, you don't always listen to full albums all the time. You sometimes just dip in, or a song will come up on a playlist or something. And then when you go back to listen to the album, though, you forget just how amazing these songs are. And it's going to be so good to see it out on the road again.
I think
if you can remember them
really good. Yeah, I think it's a very odd album for me, because I think two of the best songs, the Wonder Stuff ever released, are on Construction. And then at least 3 of the worst thing we ever release are on the album. So I would say On the Ropes and Sing the Absurd are like real high points in my writing abilities. And then there's tracks like I Wish 'Em All Dead, Cabin Fever, and Swell, which I didn't write the music. I think I'm right in saying that the music to Wish 'Em All Dead was Malk. Cabin Fever was Fiddly Bell, and I think Swell was Malk. But I ruined all 3 of those songs by writing really, really lazy lyrics that I think they're absolute rubbish. And I remember the mood that I was in at the time was just, I'll just get this done. And because we wrote like 25, 28 songs for it. And I think we put a lot of the really good songs on the B-sides.
Uh-huh.
So it's entirely my fault. It's nobody else's fault. I ruined three really good bits of music with lazy lyrics.
Because I
So
was going to say to you, you know, I mean, you've obviously written millions of songs, but there must be some that maybe you don't prefer to sing anymore, or not necessarily just the ones that are like I was going to say the cliches. You know, if you ask anybody, do they know anything by the Wonder stuff? I guess they always say Size of a Cow, which I think if I were you, I'd be annoyed about that
no,
because,
I love it. I love
yeah,
Sides of a Cow.
I mean,
I'm
it's a
really,
great song, but I always think there's so much more that, you know, you
yeah.
wish people knew more.
But you know, but if you think about you know, there's I don't know everything by Madness, for
No,
instance, but there are tracks on their first album that you would never hear on the radio.
yeah.
The Bed and Breakfast Man,
Mm.
which is one of my favorite songs I've ever heard. But no, you're always going to hear My Girl or It Must Be Love that they didn't even write. Or you think about Squeeze, there are hundreds of genius Squeeze songs. But
Uh-huh.
on the radio, it's always going to be Cool for Cats in this
Well,
country anyway.
unless it's my radio, because
All right.
I have free reign because I'm community
Okay.
radio, and I love it for that reason. Because in fact, funny you said Bed and Breakfast Man, but I was actually trying to get a holy trinity of three songs linked together about breakfast for no apparent reason,
Oh, well, there you go.
uh, and it nearly made it. I haven't done it yet, but I might still do
Okay.
it.
But that's
Didn't
just the
feel like
nature
it.
of things. And the songs
Hmm.
that are picked by, you know, the classic British bands are great songs. And
Hmm.
my view of the success, the commercial success of Size of a Cow, if that's the one that national radio is going to be playing all the time,
Hmm.
well, at least I got one in there because, you know, it still is on the radio
Yeah,
somewhere in the UK every week.
absolutely.
And to me, if that's next to Call for Cats and a great mat or baggy trousers, then
Hmm.
I'm chuffed to bits. You know, I got one in the really good book of British pop songs. I got one in.
Yeah. It,
Um, and the only song I would never sing again is Astley and the Noose. I think musically it's rubbish. It's a joke. So you can only tell a joke so many times before it just ain't funny anymore. And it's cruel because there's absolutely nothing wrong with Rick Astley at all. You know, all I had to do was, if his early music offended me in some way, was just not listen to it. I
mm,
didn't have to say something unpleasant to him or
yeah.
about him publicly. So I would never sing that again. I hate it.
Yeah, I suppose that fits in with what I was thinking about. You know, back to the 90s and the sort of the Wonder stuff and the career at the times. I mean, I couldn't quite remember if you had a good relationship with like NME and Melody Maker or not. You know, like
Yeah,
I couldn't quite
we
what
did
where
all
was
of
your
them.
yeah?
All we were very lucky. I was just reading Wayne Hussey's book
Oh yeah.
from the Mission,
Hmm.
and they would get treated well by Melody Maker. But the only time NME would write anything about them, it wasn't just about it; it was abusive.
Hmm.
Um, which was that was the start of the enemy. We were really lucky. We
Hmm.
had fans at both the Enemy, Melody Maker, and Sounds and Record Mirror.
Yeah.
We were really lucky. No, we weren't just shoved into one of them.
Hmm.
But particularly at Enemy, there were a couple of writers that would have a go at us. So in like, you know, makeup stuff in the gossip columns, or just, you know,
Hmm.
if we'd had too many good reviews, I think the editor would go, it's about time we saw the Wonder stuff from a different angle.
Yeah.
So then they'd send out that miserable guy, and they would know. And I would know as well, because my ex-wife used to work there, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry to tell you, it's so and so that's coming to review you.
So prepare yourself.
But yeah, and by that time, by Never Loved Elvis and Construction for the Modern, I didn't look at the press. I didn't really care, to be honest.
So can we talk about lockdown? Because obviously, as you sort of touched upon there, I think before we started recording, or proper talking, it was obviously a strange old time, but you were one of these artists that, well, I don't know if you embraced it or if you were just as bored as anything and you wanted to do something on a Saturday afternoon. But I really enjoyed watching your Sundays or Saturday sofa sessions. They were very kind of highlight of a boring Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll take that as a good review. Um, No, and my good friend again, Ian Prowse, he started the Friday night ones, and it didn't occur to me at all. I'm not a very good self promoter, so even though my mate's doing this, the thought didn't occur to me. Oh, I should do something like this. And then my good friend Phil Birchall, who does all our design work and marketing, he said to me, "You should do this." And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit sick of doing the acoustic thing. And he goes, come on, you miserable so-and-so, come on, do one. So I went around his house, and it was like the weekend before the lockdown. So Prowsey must have started before. Anyway, so I did one, and I really enjoyed it. And I got it, even though I was in my mate's house, and then the next 6 or 7 that I did were just in my house. I got that kind of rush of adrenaline that I do from a regular gig.
Yeah.
And it was really nice. It was lovely to know people were out there watching. I had a very, very easy lockdown time. My life really wasn't disturbed at all. The Wonder Stuff had toured at the end of 2019. I was wanted to take a break from acoustic gigs. Really, the only different, I know a lot of it sounds terrible that I was quite happy with it, but lots of other people had appalling times, and I was one of the very, very few people that didn't. And the only noticeable thing for me was the pub was shut.
And you had to drink wine in your sofa at 2 o'clock in the afternoon as well.
And then go and sit socially distance in my neighbour's garden and drink another bottle of wine. So.
I wanted to ask you, because I'm pretty sure at the time, was it not a sort of cathartic thing as well? But you're not having a feud with your neighbour then or something?
Yeah, at the first one I was, yeah.
It was like, tune in next week to see what has happened on the legalities of whatever it was you were fighting about.
Yeah, they were awful. And my plan was to drive them out with exceptionally loud music at very unsociable hours. I had it all planned out. I've done it before. They were interlopers anyway. I think they only owned that house for about 2 years, and I've been here 28 years. So
I was totally.
I felt I had seniority. But I think after the row that we had, I think they decided, like, as soon as they could put it on the market, so the one row was enough. And now I have the greatest neighbours in the world.
Oh, that's good. That's nice. It's worked out well. It was also a great opportunity to just ogle all your Gretsch guitars when you were on a Saturday afternoon. I do like them. You have have you got all Gretsch, or have you got any that aren't?
No, the 2 acoustic guitars, the black one and the white one. This black one that I've just been doing a bit of rehearsing with Mark. That's a Gretsch. And then I've got a white acoustic that's in the lounge, that's a Gretsch. And then that white one on the wall there, that's an Antoria. And then I've got 2 more of those that are blonde wood. So I always played Antoria Jazz Stars. That's all. There was a period around construction from the Modern Idiot where Malk wanted me to play a Les Paul. And I did for about a year, and I hated it because they're so heavy. Whereas my semi-acoustics aren't that heavy. Oh no, I wish I could have afforded a Gretsch White Falcon back in the day. And I'm still working on Billy Duffy from the Colt. He's got a signature Billy Duffy White Falcon.
It's ridiculously nice.
Yeah, he's got a black signature one as well. And he played on my most recent solo album that came out last year. And I was just about to ask him, get me a deal on one of your signature guitars. And he was in Los Angeles when he recorded the parts for my album. And so I then emailed his producer, or he's the engineer of his studio. I'm like, can you send me the bill for Billy's studio time? And he just said, no, Bill's paid for it. I'm like, Bill, I've asked him a favor. I've asked him to write parts and play and appear on my record. He can't pay for the studio. So, and I wrote to Bill, and I'm like, yeah, you got to tell me what it was. I need to pay that, give you that money back. And he said, no. Next time I'm back in England, just take me out for a curry. And then I was like, damn, now I can't ask him about getting me a discount on.
That's pushing it a bit now, Miles.
Yeah.
Taking advantage of the poor man.
Exactly.
Oh, awesome. Well, the closest I've got is the Penguin Parlor. So the little version of the blingy white one, Penguin.
Okay.
It's lovely, but yeah, it's gorgeous. So just, I don't know who your influences are and sort of what kind of music you were brought up listening to.
Well, it was, the glam rock, the cheesy stuff as well as the cool stuff, I suppose.
Hmm.
Something like Slade is looked upon as a bit cheesy now, although we didn't think so. And
No.
then I suppose the glam of Bowie and maybe Mark Bolan is seen as the cool stuff. Liked all of
Hmm.
that. I liked all the singles of that period from people like Sweet and
Yeah.
and then I thought that seamlessly went into punk rock and new wave. It was really good. If you think about the four Sex Pistols singles,
Hmm.
they got brilliant choruses, great riffs. They're hard, just like we thought Slade and Sweet were. And
Hmm.
so to me, that was kind of a seamless transition to me and my
Uh-huh.
brother, who's 3 years older than me. So we went with that. And then after that initial flurry of punk rock and new wave, I didn't go with the stuff like Crass and Discharge.
Yeah.
That all seemed about something else. It wasn't about melodies. They weren't influenced by the Beatles, for instance. Like
Hmm.
I would say Glenn Matlock from the Pistols was obviously a Beatles fan, and
Yeah.
so even though the Pistols were writing an aggressive, different kind of pop music, it was still pop music, and the
Hmm.
ideas came from the masters of writing British pop music. So
Hmm.
so things like Crass and Discharge and those angrier punk bands it didn't work for me. There wasn't enough
Yeah.
melody there. So
Yeah.
I went to things like the Bunny Men, Teardrop Explodes,
Yeah.
Magazine, things like that. And
Yeah.
then the Water Boys turned up and I was like, I think this is my band.
Because I was about to say, I don't sort of see a lot of that style in the Wonder stuff, but then you said the Water Boys, that kind of made a little bit of sense.
I think on Eight Legged Groove Machine you can hear like the punk rock, new wave,
Hmm.
glam rock influence. I mean, things like Give Me More, More, More,
Uh-huh.
and It's Your Money I'm After, Baby. I think
Yeah.
they would have fitted in
Yeah.
either glam rock or new wave at least.
Yeah.
Not so much in a sort of post punk era.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, it's not until we get to the second album that we introduce fiddles, accordions, mandolins, keyboards,
Hmm.
and then we really go in that direction for Never Loved Elvis. And then we
Yeah.
just tried to pull it back in on construction and make it a bit harder. But
Hmm.
that was probably not going back to the earlier influences. That was probably the records of the day
Yeah.
we were into, which would be Jane's Addiction and Faith No More
Oh yeah.
predominantly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So just kind of a wee bit about the tour, because I was thinking, is it different out on tour nowadays than it was in the 90s? Are you all quite sort of Ovaltine at 10 o'clock in bed, or is it still a bit wild?
We were never that wild. Not compared to what I've just read in the Wayne Hussey's second autobiography.
I'm going to reread that.
None of us were thrown out the country by the police or anything. So I think we were thrown out of Bristol by the police, as troublesome as we got.
Yeah.
But no, I learned a long time ago. I can stay up and have a drink and laugh with everyone, and my throat's okay as long as I get a solid 10 hours kip.
Ah, okay. Uh-huh.
So I don't usually get up to like 2, 3 in the afternoon if we're on
Uh-huh.
tour. Because we're on a tour bus, I can do that.
Yeah.
And then just walk around humming for 2 hours, then go do a sound check. So I can stay up till like 2 a.m. having a giggle with my mates.
Humming as in because you're stinky because you're on a tour bus, or humming
No,
as
no,
in
no, humming as in
I thought that. Just checking.
yeah, warms your voice up all day. It's better than talking.
Ah,
Uh,
okay, fair
just
enough.
to warm it up.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were never crazy, but we
No.
have a wee bit of social time after every gig. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. It's cool. Um, what do you when do you think, if you can ever say this, when would you stop being in the Wonder stuff? When do you think, or do you think you can just keep going and you'll always have something new to write?
Um, I think it's up to the other members, really. I think if any one person left now,
Hmm.
um, I I'm not in the mood to ever try and replace anybody else.
Yeah.
Um, Mostly because this lineup, in terms of musicianship, is the best we've ever had.
Uh-huh.
So if Pete Howard wanted to hang up his sticks, then I would never find anyone
Yeah.
as good as Pete.
Uh-huh.
We all get on so well. If Erica, Erica lives out in Paris, she's got her own
Mhm.
music career. If she ever said, that she didn't want to do it anymore, then I know I would never find anyone as
Yeah.
hardworking and as talented as her. So
Yeah.
I think if anyone left, then I wouldn't carry on.
Uh-huh. But then you would kind of end it on a high, wouldn't you?
Oh
As you
yeah,
say, rather than sort of scrappling about trying to find a
yeah,
somebody you don't really want there. Um,
exactly.
I've absolutely no idea. Have I done half an hour? That might be about that. I don't want to keep you
We
too
are
long.
really, yeah. Get 5 more minutes. Get your most important questions in, and then I'm
The
going to have
most
to run.
important questions are: why did you grow your hair again? Because it was all short in lockdown. What made you decide?
Well, I don't have to do anything. It just does it.
You were
No,
just happy you could still grow it, weren't you? So you
yeah. Well, I
did.
got off the end of the 2019 tour, and Christmas Eve, I just went zap, got rid of it, and I'm like, oh, that feels better,
Uh-huh.
because I was definitely going to take 2020 off. But then what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, we're all taking 2020 off. And I thought I would never go out and do an anniversary tour of construction.
Uh-huh.
But my friend Phil talked me into it. Turns out the rest of the band wanted to do it.
Uh,
And so I thought, well, I think people expect the singer in the Wonder Stuff to have long hair. So I just left it.
well, it was kind of like your sort of trademark. It was quite odd when you didn't have it, and then when I saw you'd grown it again, I thought, that's the normal service has been resumed. And have you got any more albums you're going to do this sort of anniversary tour of? Because I'm trying to do the maths, but we've got another few years till Eight Legged Groove Machine can go for its anniversary. So
Yeah, that would be a 40-year anniversary, I suppose, in 2028. No, I'm not thinking that far ahead. I mean,
no.
I think we've talked in the last year about doing a 10th Wonder Stuff album. I think
Mm-hmm.
it'd be nice to round it off on 10. I ain't really got any ideas at the moment.
Yeah.
No doubt when we get into rehearsals in July, I'll ask everybody else got anything. See how we get on. I think everyone wants to do one, and it makes sense to round it off at 10.
Yeah.
Um,
You're
but yeah, I'm not thinking about it at the minute.
no. Well, you've got construction to get through first, and
Yeah.
you've obviously got that kind of in the two parts. I've got my tickets for Birmingham at the end of the year, so that'll be a nice pre-Christmas treat.
Great.
But I've still to decide if I'm coming to Glasgow because it's the first night of the tour, isn't it? And I feel I should do that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think we'll be all right. We're sticklers for rehearsal, so
Yeah.
I don't think it's a case of the first gig being a bit sticky. I
Not
think
in Glasgow.
we'll be ready.
Glaswegians are very
Exactly.
nice.
Exactly. We have a great audience there. Yeah.
We're up for a party, and I think is it a Saturday? Is it?
No
No, I
idea.
can't remember now. Even if it's not, to be fair, it makes no difference to Glaswegians.
It doesn't.
Well, I'm going to let you go because you've got
Okay.
lots of things to do. But thank you so much for spending a wee bit of time talking to me. That's very much
Oh, lovely.
appreciated.
No, I'm more than happy. Thanks for asking me.
No worries. And yeah, we'll see you out on tour very soon then.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Judith.
Thank you very much. And I'll speak to you later. Thank
Okay.
you.
See you again. Bye.
See you. Bye. Bye-bye.